All right, so we're back, and I managed to make my computer copy. So here's the information. A is 12, B is 31, and A is 20.5, capital A. So we start out by going and testing to see how many possibilities there are. So H is B sine A, and we go, that's 31 sine of 20.5. So we go down here, we go 20.5, hit sine of that, and then we multiply it by 31. We get 10.85. Okay, so because our given A is 12, we can say then that H is less than A, so there's two possible solutions. All right? So then we say there's two possible again because of it doesn't necessarily imply that they both work. But then we start out by going, okay, let's find them. So we go sine A over A is sine B over B, and we go sine of 20.5, you know, A divided by 12, because that's our lowercase a, that's our side length, and we have sine B, that's what we're looking for, and B is 31. So we bring 31 up there, and we get 31 sine of 20.5 divided by 12 is equal to sine B. And you'll notice, maybe you don't notice, but hopefully you do, that this right here is the height. We've already found this. You see what I mean? It's 31 sine 20.5. So we're essentially testing that already, so we can just put in that's, whoa, 10.85 over 12 is equal to the sine of B. So it's not actually more work because you have to find this anyway. That's what I'm saying. But you find it first, and then if it's less than A, then there's two possible solutions. If it's greater than A, we say there's no solutions, and if it's equal to A, then there's one. All right? Going back to what we were talking about. And the reason is, if you know, you might know this, that sine of B has to be greater than -1 and less than 1. In other words, it has to be between those two values. And your teachers may have told you that before or not. If that's the case, then if you look at sine B being B sine A over A, right? That's what we're saying it's equal to from our sine formula. We're saying that equals that. Then in order to get an answer, B sine A has to be less than or equal to A. So this, I just call it the height, but the height has to be less than or equal to A. If it's equal to A, then we get that sine B is equal to 1. All right? And that means that B is 90 degrees. So it makes a right angle triangle. If we get less than A, then sine B is less than 1, and that means we get two possible answers. All right, so that's just another way of looking at the ambiguous case, just in terms of the algebra involved. Okay? And I'm not trying to confuse you, I'm not trying to give you more information than you need, but that just is another way of looking at the ambiguous case, that we need this formula here to be either less than or equal to 1. So anyway, we get here, and we take the arc sine. So we go the arc sine of 10.85 over 12 is equal to B. So then what is B? So we go to our calculator, and we go 10.85 divided by 12, and we take the arc sine, and we get 64.78. So we're going to go 64.8, all right, degrees. So then we say, okay, here's our two possibilities. It's either 64.8, angle B is, and that means that if A is 20.5, we can find C as 180 minus these two, so minus 64.8 minus 20.5, and that gives us 180 minus 20.5, 205 minus 64.8, we get 94.7, so that's one set of angles, and those all work, that's fine. The other possibility is that B is 180 minus 64.8. And if we get that one, 180 oops, that's 18. Second, 180 minus 64.8 is 115.2. All right, that means that angle A as 20.5 is still there, and angle C is going to become 180 minus 115.2 and 20.5. And if I go 180 minus 115.2 minus 20.5, I get 44.3. And in this case, this is also a viable possibility because the three angles work. I didn't get a negative angle here, so they're both possible. So we say both are okay. And then we can go from there. So the first thing you have to be able to do, if you look at your notes, okay, if you're given two sides and a non-contained angle, side-to-side angle, and the side opposite the angle is less than the side adjacent to the angle, then you have the ambiguous case. What we're saying is if H is less than A, that's essentially what we're saying. There may be zero solutions, one solution, or two solutions. Okay, so you just have to decide. Given two sides of a non-contained angle, that's the first step. You have to check. Okay, and then do you have to decide? Then you have to decide: is B sine A, is H less than A? If that's the case, then it's like, are there two possible solutions or not? Based on if there's a drawing that that clearly has an obtuse angle, then it's only one solution. If it tells you that the angle is obtuse or acute, then there's only one solution. If it says how many solutions are there, usually there's two. Okay, so let's do a question here. And again, I'm just going to copy this over to my smart notebook so that you can see it. So we're going to paste this one in. And it says, if we look back at our notebook here, to determine the number of solutions. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to say that my H is, you remember, B sine A. So here, whoops, H there, it said B and I wrote it down. In this case, it's X sine Y, all right? It's just the angle that you're given in the other side. So we go 16 sine 53, okay? And we get, move this over so you can see it. I have to put in, you might not have to do this on your calculator. I have to put the sine of 53 in first. Times 16, I get 12.77, so I get 12.8. H then is less than A because A, or in this case, it's Y. So therefore, there's two solutions. Okay, there's two possible solutions. We're not saying that there is two solutions for sure, but there's two possible solutions. Okay, so then we have to decide based on that, are both going to work? And basically what you have to do, if you think about it, you have to go sine y over y is equal to sine x over x. So we go sine 53 divided by y, and y is 18, is sine x over 12 point, or not 12, 16, sorry. Jumping ahead of myself. So then I'm going to bring this 16 up. So sine x is going to be 16 sine 53 over 18. And we know, because we just did that, we did 16 sine 53, that's our h, right? So we know that's 12.78, okay, or 12.8 divided by 18. So then we get x to be, we go 12.78 or 77 divided by 18, and we take the arc sine, and it's 45.22. So we'll say 45.2 degrees. Okay, if that's less than the angle you're given, then you're good. There's two solutions. If that's more than the angle you're given, then you're in trouble. Okay, so we have two solutions. We have 45.2 for x, or we have 180 minus 45.2. And 180 minus 45.2, whoops, is 134.8. So then we know the other angle is 53. That's angle Y. All right. And then we go, that means the third angle would be 180 minus the other two. So minus 45.2 and minus 53. And if we do that, we get an answer. 180 minus 45.2 minus, move this over so you can see what I'm doing, minus 53, and it's 81.8. So that works. Right? In this case, it's 180 minus 53 minus 134.8. We do that, 180 minus 53 minus 134.8, it gives me minus 7.8. See if this is going to... Okay, it gives me minus 7.8. That doesn't work. I'm not sure what's going on here, why it's not letting me write. It doesn't seem to want to work again. There we go. Oh, almost there. Where'd the mouse go? There we go. It's thinking. Minus 7.8. There we go. So we say that doesn't work, so there's one solution. Okay, so that's how you follow through the whole thing. So I'll let you work on the other ones in here. If you look in your notebook, there's a few more of them. And then we'll talk about, in the last video that we do, we'll talk about some applications.